I manage more than 50 projects a year in my business, and I could not do it without project management software. That being said, it is not right for everyone. Some people do just fine managing projects with Google Docs and OneNote notebooks and Excel spreadsheets. I did that myself for a long time, and those tools are perfectly adequate when you have a limited number of projects and a limited number of needs. But if you're watching this video, I am guessing that you're past that limit. And now you're wondering if a dedicated project management software system might help you get control over all of the elements of all of your projects. Well, I am here to tell you that yes, a new project management app might be the perfect solution. There are a lot of benefits to these kinds of tools, but they also come with some very real and very significant drawbacks. So before you make the investment, you definitely want to do your research, and that's why you're here. So in this video, I'm going to share all of the reasons that I personally love project management software. I'll also share the most common complaints I hear about it and some things you can do to overcome them. Along the way, I'll give you some tips for choosing the software that's right for you, because there are a lot of options out there. And be sure that you stay until the end, because I'll share with you how you can get a free downloadable worksheet to help you evaluate your needs and your options. Before we dive into the wonderful world of project management software, if this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Chrissy Scivicque. I'm a professional development trainer and the founder of eatyourcareer.com, helping you create a nourishing professional life. I train on a wide variety of topics, including project management, process improvement, change management, basically all the stuff professionals need to do more and do better. Now, fair warning here. I am a big old nerd when it comes to a topic like this. I have tried many project management software systems over the years, partly because it is my job. I train on project management, so I have to know what's out there and I have to know how these different systems work. But I also try different systems because I honestly enjoy it. I do it just for fun. Asana is my preferred project management tool, and it has been for about the last 7 years. But prior to that, I used Basecamp, Teamwork, Smartsheet, and Todoist. Not all at the same time, but over a number of years. I've also tried ClickUp and Monday.com, and I even used Trello to plan my wedding, so I'll probably always have a bit of a soft spot for that. And this is an easy tip whenever you're considering a new project system. Most of them do have a free limited use trial, and some have very generous limits. So it's worth it to sign up and just play around. Pick a personal project, put it in there, see how it feels. You will learn so much just by using a system. I should also say that I am very much system agnostic. I love Asana, but I know it's not right for everyone. There are so many good options out there, and most of them have a very similar set of features. I think the biggest difference is the user experience, meaning how it looks and how it feels and how it functions. But overall, they mostly do the same things. You can set up projects and define tasks, assign tasks to other people on the team, set deadlines, create interconnections between your tasks, and really that's just the beginning. Different systems might have different names for these things, and they all have different ways of doing them, but they're still relatively similar. Plus, if you're using a cloud-based system, it's accessible from anywhere and from any device. So you don't have the risk of leaving your project notebook at home and then suddenly needing it in the office. To be clear, I am not saying that there isn't a place for paper in your project management system, but if you are working with other people who need visibility into the project, and if you're all working from different locations, a digital cloud-based system is definitely the way to go. Okay, let's talk benefits. As I said, I manage roughly 50 to 70 projects a year between clients and conferences, public workshops, webinars, and so on. I've identified 9 categories of projects in my business. Within each category, I have multiple projects, and each project has multiple tasks. Obviously, that can be a lot to wrangle, but Asana makes it really easy because it creates one consolidated task list that pulls all the tasks that have been assigned to me across all projects and all categories all into one place. So I don't have to click through each of my projects individually to see what I need to do. I just need to look at that single consolidated task list. This is one of the most common features that you'll find in almost all project management software. And to me, it is truly the ultimate time saver. With any project management system, you can define tasks and deadlines really far out into the future, which means you don't have to think about them until it's time to actually think about them. So for example, I have programs that are scheduled for December, and it's currently the beginning of August, so I'm not thinking about them. But all of the tasks for those programs are already loaded into the system. So sometime around late October, those things are going to pop up on my task list and remind me to start working on them. I also have a lot of reoccurring tasks in my business, things I need to do every quarter or every January 20th, for example. So I load those things in and I make them reoccurring, and I know I'll be reminded about them at the right time in the future. One thing to note here, the due date in the system is the deadline Asana is going to monitor, and that's when I want to have it done by. But for my own awareness, I also put the actual concrete due date in all caps in the task description. You will save a tremendous amount of time by using templates and automations inside your project management software. If you do a lot of routine projects that require the same or a similar set of tasks each time, this is a game changer. For example, when I start a new webinar project in Asana, it automatically loads a pre-event task list for me. When I move a webinar project to the post-event section, it automatically loads the post-event task list for me. I don't have to remember the steps each time, and I don't have to manually enter them. You can even set dynamic deadlines in your templates and automations by attaching them to a specific trigger date or making them relative to the other dates in the project. Depending on the system you're using, you can do some very sophisticated things. But don't let that overwhelm you. It's an option that's available, but it's not a requirement. I probably use a really small portion of the features available in Asana, and I think that's really common for most project management systems. There is a ton that they can do, but the only thing that matters is what you need them to do. Forget about everything else. All the sophisticated advanced features might be useful at some point in the future, but they might not be. You get to choose how you're going to use the software and what you want it to do for you. If you've ever tried to manually create a Gantt chart or some kind of visual project roadmap in something like Canva or even Excel, you know how painful it can be. Incidentally, please never create a Gantt chart in Canva. Even if you're using Excel's chart creation functionality, it's still a surprising number of steps. And yes, AI can absolutely help with this kind of stuff, but even then, when things get delayed or deadlines get moved, you have to regenerate the chart or the image or whatever. With project management software, you can view your current project data in all kinds of different ways. You don't have to explain what you want, and you don't have to manually adjust anything. As long as the data in the system is accurate, the visuals are accurate. And when you change something in the visual, it changes the data behind it, because it's all tied together, which is a huge load off your back. One of the biggest challenges in project management is just making sure that everyone knows where things stand at any given time. Remember that a project is an interconnected series of tasks. So When one person is working on something, it can impact what another person is working on. There's nothing worse than when Bob, who is making no progress, says, I'm waiting on Judy. And Judy is like, I've been done for 2 weeks, Bob. Project management software makes everything visible. So you are not caught between Bob and Judy and everyone else. They can all see what's happening, and more importantly, you can all see where delays are happening. There is nothing more satisfying than holding a project meeting and pulling up the software in front of everyone to see who's holding things up. A little bit of public shaming can really light the fire beneath people. You can also attach documents and have conversations about the project within the project itself. That way, everything lives together in the same place. You're not going back and forth with 125 emails and 50 Slack messages and multiple project folders on multiple drives. Last but not least, you can archive your completed projects so you're not looking at them every day, but they're still accessible if you need them. I can't tell you the number of times I've done a project thinking it's a one-of-a-kind type of thing, only to find later that I have another project exactly like it. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. I can just go into the archives and pull out the old project and use that as a template. Now let's talk about complaints, because project management software isn't for everyone, and it might not be for you. In my experience, the biggest complaints all fall under the same broad umbrella, which I will label generically as it's a lot of work. And that is true. There really is no denying it. Depending on the software you choose, the learning curve can be really steep. And this is why you should test out different systems and see what intuitively feels the most natural for you. I've stuck with Asana for so long because I find it very user-friendly, but I've also invested a lot of time in learning it. Don't expect to learn everything overnight. Once you start using a system, you'll want it to do certain things in a certain way, and you'll have to figure out how to make that happen. And that is the learning process in action. It can be very slow and very tedious, especially when you first start, but over time, it does get easier and it gets faster. Along the same lines, any software is only as good as its data. You've heard it before a million times, garbage in, garbage out. So you have to make sure that everyone using the software is following best practices. I'll do an entire separate video on that topic in the future. But for now, the most important thing is that people are consistently using it. When a system gets out of date, it becomes less than useless. It actually becomes a burden because now you have to go in and clean it up and invest more time just to get it back to baseline. And that brings me to the final complaint I hear, and that's around team compliance. How do you get people to actually use project management software? Most people are really busy. They have established work habits. They don't like learning new technology, and they don't necessarily want a new software. So for all of these reasons, I really recommend that you start by using the software yourself rather than trying to get the whole team on it all at once. Once you are really comfortable with it, you can show people how it works and the benefits, and then they are much more likely to be interested. But even then, it's probably going to be a challenge. If having the software is important to you, you might have to just accept the ultimate responsibility for keeping the system up to date. But you can still refer people to the system when they have questions about the status of a project or the deadline for an assignment. That way they get comfortable looking at the system and they know it's a trusted resource, even if they aren't actively updating it themselves. So that's it for the pros and cons. If you're still interested in exploring project management software, you can get my free downloadable worksheet to help you understand your needs and evaluate how well different options might match them. The link for that will be below this video. I would love to know about your experience with project management software. Is there one you really like or one you don't like? Are there other benefits or drawbacks I missed? If so, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.